Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Wednesday, March 6, 2019. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college hoops, NBA, and NHL games as well as spring training. Look ahead to tonight's games in hoops and hockey. NFL offseason predictions and my best bet of the day. Maybe a couple moneyline picks as well. All right, we'll start with college hoops. A lot of notable results from yesterday night. Butler hangs on against Xavier, 71-66. Butler 16-14, Xavier 16-14. Kamar Baldwin had 24 for Butler. Tyreek Jones had 13 for Xavier. Number 4, Duke survives against Wake Forest, 71-70, as Chonde Brown's jumper rimmed out at the buzzer, which, if that went in, Wake Forest pulls off the outright upset on senior night at Cameron Indoor, but nope. Duke survives. Brown was actually the leading scorer for Wake. He had 21, and R.J. Barrett of Duke had 28. Number 9, Michigan State defeats Nebraska 91-76. Dominant win for the Spartans. They're 24-6. Nebraska 15-15. Kenny Goins had 24 for Michigan State, and James Palmer Jr. had 30 for Nebraska. Number 14, Florida State defeats number 15, Virginia Tech, 73-64 in overtime. A great win for the Seminoles, come from behind style. They're 24-6. Virginia Tech's 22-7. Mfiondu Kabalengi had 17 for Florida State, and Nikhil Alexander-Walker had 19 for Vatek. Number 19, Buffalo defeats Ohio 82-79. Buffalo 27-3, Ohio 13-16. Jeremy Harris had 20 for Buffalo, and Doug Taylor had 20 for Ohio. Akron defeats Bowling Green 91-67. Akron 16-14. Bowling Green 20-10. Lauren Kristen Jackson had 31 for Akron, and Justin Turner had 21 for Bowling Green. Eastern Michigan defeats Ball State 68-61. Eastern Michigan 15-15. Ball State 15-15. James Thompson IV had 20, and Tahai Teague had 15 for Ball. Albany defeats Binghamton 73-58. Albany 12-19, Binghamton 9-22. Ahmad Clark had 14 for Albany, and Chancellor Bernard had 15 for Binghamton. Stony Brook defeats Hartford 68-63. Stony Brook 24-7, Hartford 17-14. Jerron Cornish had 16 for Stony Brook, and J.R. Lynch had 20 for Hartford. New Hampshire defeats Maine 60-53. New Hampshire 5-24, Maine 5-26. Mark Caborn had 14 for New Hampshire, and Sergio L. Darwich had 12 for Maine. South Carolina upsets Texas A&M 71-54. South Carolina 15-15, A&M 13-16. Chris Silva had 22 for South Carolina, and Wendell Mitchell had 15 for A&M. Northern Illinois defeats Central Michigan 89-86. Northern Illinois 14-16, Central Michigan 20-10. Levi Bradley had 26 for Northern Illinois, and Sean Roundtree had 23 for Central Michigan. Toledo defeats Western Michigan 76-57. Toledo 24-6, Western Michigan 8-22. Nate Navigato had 17 for Toledo, and Michael Flowers had 21 for Western Michigan. Rhode Island defeats St. Joe's 86-85 in overtime. Rhode Island 15-14, St. Joe's 13-17. Fats Russell had 41 points for Rhode Island, and Jared Bynum had 19 for St. Joe's. Kent State defeats Miami of Ohio 75-66. Kent State 21-9, Miami of Ohio 15-15. Jalen Walker at 29 for Kent, and Nike Sabande at 21 for Miami of Ohio. Big South first round, Hampton defeats Longwood 77-71. Hampton 15-15, Longwood finishes at 15-17. Jermaine Morrow at 28 for Hampton, and Jalen Wilson at 23 for Longwood. Big South first round, Charleston Southern defeats South Carolina Upstate 71-52. Charleston Southern 16-14, and South Carolina Upstate finishes at 6-26. Christian Keeling had 22 for Southern, and Everett Hammond had 17 for South Carolina Upstate. Presbyterian defeats UNC Asheville 106-59 in the first round of the Big South tournament. Presbyterian 18-14. UNC Asheville finishes at 4-27. J.C. Younger had 24 for Presbyterian, and Tyjon Jones had 15 for Asheville. Patriot League first round, Holy Cross upsets Lafayette 79-74. Well, I meant upset from a seeding perspective, but I believe Holy Cross closed as a favorite in this game, and they did. They're favored by 1.5, so it wasn't really an upset. They're 16-16. Lafayette finishes at 10-20. Jaheed Floyd had 24 for Holy Cross, and Alex Petrie had 23 for Lafayette. Patriot League first round, Boston University defeats Loyola Maryland 71-63. Boston University 15-17. Loyola Maryland finishes at 11-21. Javante McCoy had 30 for BU, and Andrew Kostka had 16 for Loyola Maryland. Vermont defeats UMass Lowell 74-57. Vermont 24-6. UMass Lowell 15-16. Steph Smith had 21 for Vermont, and Christian Luetti had 22 for UMass Lowell. VCU defeats George Mason 71-36. VCU 24-6. George Mason 16-14. Marcus Evans had 13 for VCU, and Jordan Miller had 11 for George Mason. Number 3, North Carolina defeats Boston College 79-66. UNC 25-5. BC 14-15. Cameron Johnson at 22 for UNC, and Kai Bowman at 23 for BC. Minnesota upsets number 11 Purdue 73-69. Big win for Minnesota. Keeps their at-large hopes alive. They're 19-11. Purdue's 22-8. Amir Coffey had 32 for Minnesota, and Carson Edwards had 22 for Purdue. Abilene Christian defeats Stephen F. Austin 72-58. ACU is 24-6. Stephen F. Austin is 14-15. Jalen Franklin had 16 for Abilene Christian, and Kevon Harris had 14 for Stephen F. Austin. Horizon League quarterfinal, Green Bay defeats UIC 82-77. Green Bay advances. They're 17-15. UIC finishes the year at 16-16. Sandy Cohen had 21 for Green Bay, and Tarkus Ferguson had 22 for UIC. Wright State defeats IUPUI 71-56 in the quarterfinal of the Horizon League. Wright State 20-12. IUPUI finishes at 16-16. Billy Wampler had 18 for Wright State, and Jalen Minute had 17 for IUPUI. Miami defeats Pitt 76-63. Miami 13-16. Pitt 12-18. Anthony Lawrence the second at 27 for Miami, and Jared Wilson Frame at 18 for Pitt. Number 5 Tennessee defeats Mississippi State 71-54. Tennessee 27-3. Mississippi State 21-9. Admiral Schoenfield had 18 for Tennessee, and Tyson Carter had 14 for Mississippi State. Number 6 Kentucky rallies and beats Ole Miss 80-76. Great win for UK. They're 25-5. Ole Miss is 19-11. Keldon Johnson had 22 for UK, and Terrence Davis had 25 for Ole Miss. Oklahoma upsets number 13 Kansas 81-68. Huge win for Oklahoma. They're 19-11. Kansas is 22-8. Kristen Doolittle had 24 for Oklahoma, and Dedrick Lawson had 18 for Kansas. And oh, by the way, Kansas, their Big 12 title streak has come to an end with this loss, and courtesy of wins from Texas Tech and Kansas State from the other night. Auburn defeats Alabama 66-60. Good come-from-behind win for Auburn. A big one and much needed. 21-9. Alabama 17-13. Now they're lingering on the bubble. Chuma Okey had 17 for Auburn, and Kira Lewis Jr. had 13 for Bama. Wichita State defeats East Carolina 72-55. Wichita 16-13. East Carolina 10-19. Marcus McDuffie had 16 for Wichita, and Isaac Fleming had 17 for East Carolina. Utah State defeats Colorado State 100-96 in overtime. Utah State 25-6, Colorado State 12-18. Sam Morrill had 38 for Utah State, and J.D. Page had 29 for Colorado State. Number 17 Nevada defeats Air Force 90-79. Nevada 27-3, Air Force 13-16. Jazz Johnson led the Wolfpack in scoring with 27, and Ryan Swan had 21 for Air Force. Tonight's games, 6 o'clock, Northeast Conference quarterfinal, LAU Brooklyn Sacred Heart. This is the 6-3 game. I just posted my podcast previewing and picking the tournament. This game, Sacred Heart, I had selected to move on, and I think they'll cover the point spread too. They're the better team. 6:30 Fox Sports 1, number 16 Marquette at Seton Hall. Seton Hall, this is a desperate game for them. They could use this win to bolster their resume a little bit. If they make the tournament, they can thank themselves for getting wins over Maryland and Kentucky earlier in the year in the non-con play. So that'll certainly help them. But I just think Marquette's the better team, and I think they'll win and cover. SEC Newark, Missouri at Georgia. Georgia's a 4-point favorite. I think Georgia wins, but Missouri covers. 7 o'clock, ESPN2, number 10, LSU at Florida. Florida is a 1-point favorite, the wrong team's favorite. I think LSU should be favored by 2 points here on the road, and I think LSU is the better team. They're playing for a 1 seed. I think they win this game outright. Penn State at Rutgers. Penn State's a 1.5-point favorite. This game's on the Big Ten Network. I'm taking Rutgers to win as a home underdog. They've been the biggest surprise of the Big Ten this year, even though they're not going to make the tournament. Iowa State at West Virginia on ESPNU. Iowa State's a 5.5-point favorite. Tough one here. Senior night at the Coliseum in West Virginia. Been a down year for the Mountaineers, obviously, but I'm going to take Iowa State to win and cover here. They're playing for seeding. St. Bonaventure at Davidson. Davidson's favored by 5. I think Davidson will win, but St. Bonaventure will cover. Bonaventure's been playing good basketball lately. LaSalle at Dayton. Dayton's favored by 11.5. I think Dayton will win and cover. Richmond at UMass. UMass is a 2-point favorite. I'm going to take Richmond on the road. George Washington at Fordham. Fordham's a 4.5-point favorite. I'm going to take George Washington outright because I just don't think Fordham's a good basketball team. Northeast quarterfinals. Wagner at Fairleigh Dickinson. Dickinson's a 5.5-point favorite. I'm going to take Dickinson to win, but Wagner to cover. Wagner always shows up for these tournament conference games, so I think Wagner will at least keep it relatively close for a while, and I can see Fairleigh Dickinson barely hanging on the win. Bryant at St. Francis, Pennsylvania. This is your 8-1. St. Francis is favored by 8.5. Bryant has been a bit of a cover machine in conference play, but that's starting to fall apart a little bit. I'm going to take St. Francis, Pennsylvania to win and cover. Horizon League quarterfinal, Detroit Mercy at Northern Kentucky. This is your 7-2 game. Northern Kentucky is a 13-point favorite. I think they'll win and cover. Youngstown State at Oakland. Oakland's an 8.5-point favorite. This is the 3-6 game. I'm going to take Oakland to win, but Youngstown State to cover. Louisiana Tech at FAU. FIU at Marshall. Rice at Charlotte. Southern Miss at Old Dominion. Northeastern Conference quarterfinal. Robert Morris is a 2.5-point favorite over St. Francis Brooklyn. This is your 4-5. I'm going to take Robert Morris to win and cover. They're just a better team. OVC first round, SIU Edwardsville, Morehead State 7:30. Morehead's a 5.5-point favorite. This is the 8-5 game. I'm going to take Morehead State to win and cover, but they'll barely cover. UTSA Western Kentucky, A&M Corpus Christi at McNeese, Central Arkansas at Sam Houston, 8 o'clock Northwestern St. Nicholas, New Orleans at Southeast Louisiana, Incarnate Word at Houston Baptist. Duquesne at St. Louis. St. Louis is an 8-point favorite. I think St. Louis is very overvalued on the betting market. I think they'll win the game, but I think Duquesne covers the number. South Florida at Tulane. South Florida is an 8-point favorite. South Florida is a very improved team. They have a chance to get to 20 wins on the season, which is a great accomplishment for Brian Gregory this year. I'm going to take them to win here, but I think Tulane will keep it close because it's their last home game. Maybe it's Mike Dunleavy's home finale. CBS Sports Network, Providence at Creighton. Creighton's a 5.5-point favorite. I think they'll win and cover. Providence has been very disappointing in the Big East this year. Well, a lot of teams have. But give me Creighton to win and cover. 8:30 Fox Sports 1, Georgetown, DePaul. DePaul's a 1.5-point favorite. DePaul coming off the win over St. John's. I think they have a letdown here. Georgetown takes it on the road. SEC Network, Arkansas at Vanderbilt. Arkansas's a 1.5-point road favorite. They're kind of in the at-large mix, but not really. They feel like a team that's headed for the NIT. I'm going to take Vanderbilt at home to pull off the home upset. They're due for a win. 9 o'clock Big Ten Network, Ohio State and Northwestern. Northwestern's a 1.5 favorite. Wrong team's favorite. Ohio State needs this game. They're playing for seeding and for their at-large lives, so give me Ohio State with the road upset. Clemson and Notre Dame on ESPNU. Clemson's a 3.5-point favorite. I think they'll win and cover. They need this game for them to make the tournament, I think. Georgia Tech at NC State. NC State's an 11-point favorite. I think they'll win and cover. Oklahoma State at Baylor. Baylor's favored by 8.5 on ESPN2. Give me Baylor to win and cover. Boise State at New Mexico. New Mexico's a 2-point favorite. I think New Mexico wins and covers. Middle Tennessee at UTEP. Ohio Valley first round. Tennessee Martin at Eastern Illinois. Tennessee Martin, your 7 seed's a 1.5 favorite. I think the wrong team's favored. Eastern Illinois is a 6 seed. I think Eastern Illinois is the team that wins and advances. 10 o'clock CBS Sports Network, Fresno State at San Diego State. San Diego State's a 2.5-point favorite. These teams are playing for seeding in the Mountain West Tournament. I'm going to take San Diego State at home here to win and cover. Wyoming at San Jose State. Wyoming's a 2-point favorite. I'm taking San Jose State to pull this one off at home. 10 o'clock Pac-12 Network. Washington hosts Oregon State. Oregon State is a 6-point underdog. Washington needs this game. I'm going to take Washington to win and cover. UC Riverside at Long Beach State, and then 11 o'clock Oregon at Washington State. Oregon's a 6.5-point favorite. Tough one here. Washington State's been pretty sneaky good. I'm going to take Washington State to cover the 6.5. And heck, I'll take them to win outright. I just think Oregon's been a disappointment this year, and Ball's out for the year. NBA. 6 games last night. The Pacers knocked off the Bulls 105-96. Indiana, still your 3 seed right now. They're 42-23. Chicago 18-47. Bojan Bogdanovic had 27 points for the Pacers. Darren Collison had 22. Miles Turner and Wes Matthews each had 10. Thaddeus Young had 11. Bench didn't do anything. Lauri Markkanen 14 points and 13 boards. Robin Lopez, 20 points and 9 boards. Zach LaVine, 27 points. Bench didn't do anything. 76ers over to Magic, 114-106. A lot of people thought this was a trap game for Philly. They survived. They're 41-23. Orlando's 30-36. J.J. Redick had 26 points. Jimmy Butler had 14. Ben Simmons had 16. Amir Johnson started at center because Embiid didn't play. He had 13. Tobias Harris had 21 with 12 boards and off the bench. Mike Scott had 11. Aaron Gordon had 24. Evan Fournier had 25. Jonathan Isaacs had 16. Nick Vucevic had 12 and 12. DJ Augustine had 11. Their bench didn't do anything. The Rockets defeat the Raptors 107-95 on players only on TNT. Good win for Houston. 39-25 on the year. Toronto 46-19. James Harden, 35 points in the victory. Eric Gordon had 13. Off the bench, Gerald Green at 18. Austin Rivers had 13. They didn't even have Kenneth Faried because of a hip injury, and Iman Shumpert was out with the right calf injury. Kawhi Leonard had 26. Danny Green had 14. Serge Ibaka had 10 with 15 boards. Pascal Siakam had 17 with 10 boards as well. Grizzlies upset the Trailblazers 120-111. If I had a money line pick in the NBA yesterday, I would have picked this, and obviously that would have been a winner. Memphis 26-40, Portland 39-25. Mike Conley had 40 points in the win. Avery Bradley had 14. Jonas Valanciunas had 17 off the bench. CJ Miles had 12. DeLon Wright had 25. Mo Harkless had 20 for Portland. Dame Lillard had 24. CJ McCollum had 27. Enes Kanter had 11. The Timberwolves defeat the Thunder 131-120. Paul George came back, but that wasn't enough. Minnesota improves to 30-34. OKC 39-25. Karl Anthony Towns 41 points and 14 boards. Jeff Teague had 16. Andrew Wiggins had 18. Dario Saric had 10. Off the bench, Derrick Rose had 19. Russell Westbrook, 38 points and 13 boards and 6 assists. Paul George had 25 in his return game. Steven Adams had 13. Jeremy Grant had 10. And off the bench, Dennis Schroeder had 14. Celtics defeat the Warriors 128-95 in the most surprising result of yesterday. Huge win for Boston. Maybe this is the confidence builder win that they needed and that they lacked. And this is what has been just a bizarre season for them. 39-26 on the year. Golden State 44-20. Gordon Hayward, his best game since the gruesome injury. 30 points. 4 for 6 from 3. Jaylen Brown had 18. Jason Tatum had 17. Kyrie Irving had 19 with 11 assists. And Marcus Morris had 10. Meanwhile for Golden State, Kevin Durant had 18. Stephen Curry had 23. DeMarcus Cousins had 10 with 9 boards. And their bench didn't do anything. Klay Thompson is still out with the injury. Tonight's slate is a bigger slate. 7 o'clock. The Heat at the Hornets. The Timberwolves at the Pistons. The Mavericks at the Wizards. 7:30 the Spurs at the Hawks. The Cavaliers at the Nets. 8 o'clock ESPN. The 76ers at the Bulls. Second of a back-to-back. Joel Embiid should be back for this one. The Bulls are a tempting money line pick, but I'm going to avoid it because I think Embiid's back for this one. And Jimmy Butler against his former team might have something to say. So give me the 76ers here to win by double digits. And obviously cover the 5 points. Jazz at the Pelicans. Celtics at the Kings at 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock the Knicks at the Suns. 10:30 ESPN. Nuggets at the Lakers. Denver's a 6-point favorite. I'm done betting the Lakers this year. Done. Give me the Nuggets to win and cover. And the media is going to continue to question LeBron James and the Lakers and cover them like they're the it team. Meanwhile, they're not. The it team is the Golden State Warriors because they've won 3 titles in the last 4 years. And the Lakers are being treated like something they're not. And they suck. So give me the Nuggets here to win and cover. NHL, big slate last night. All meaningful games. Bruins over the Hurricanes 4-3 in overtime. Great win for Boston as David Krejci scores the winner. 40-17-9. Too bad Tampa's in their division. Carolina 36-23-7. David Krejci was the number 1 star of the game with the game-winning goal and an assist. Chris Wagner, number 2 star of the game with a goal. Number 3 star of the game with 2 goals, Sebastian Aho. Brutal loss for Carolina, but at least they got a point, and they are right now in 3rd place in the Metropolitan Division. Blue Jackets over the Devils 2-1 in the shootout. Blue Jackets are 2 points back of a playoff spot. They're 37-26-3. Devils 25-33-9. Number 1 star of the game with a goal, Cam Atkinson. Number 2 star of the game with a goal, Travis Zajac. Number 3 star of the game with an assist, Blake Coleman. Islanders over the Senators, 5-4 in the shootout. Huge win for the Islanders, tied with the Capitals for first place in the Metro. They're 38-21-7. Ottawa 23-38-6. Number 1 star of the game with a goal, Islanders lead. Number 2 star of the game with a goal, Devin Taves. And the number 3 star of the game with 34 saves on 38 shots, Craig Anderson. Penguins over the Panthers, 2-3 in overtime. Huge 2 points for Pittsburgh. They're in one of the wild card spots right now. They're 35-22-9. Florida 28-26-12. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Jake Zetzel. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists, Sidney Crosby. Number 3 star of the game with a goal, Vincent Trocheck. Lightning over the Jets 5-2 in the possible Stanley Cup final preview. Tampa Bay 51-12-4. Winnipeg 39-23-4. Number 1 star of the game with the goal and an assist, Adam Ernie. Number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Nikita Kucherov. Number 3 star of the game with 2 assists, Matthew Joseph. Predators over the Wild, 5-4 in a shootout. Huge win for Nashville, 39-25-5 on the year. Minnesota 32-27-8. Number 1 star of the game with a goal and assist, Victor Edvritsa. Number 2 star of the game didn't have a point, but contributed in the shootout, Ryan Johansson. Number 3 star of the game with the goal, Roman Josi. Stars over the Rangers, 1-0 huge win for Dallas. They are now 34-27-5. Rangers 27-28-100, so they're finally below 500. Number 1 star of the game with 28 saves on 28 shots. Ben Bishop, number 2 star of the game with the goal. John Klingberg, number 3 star of the game with 31 saves on 32 shots. Alexander Georgiev. Avalanche defeat the Red Wings 4-3 in overtime. Huge win for Colorado, 29-26-12. Detroit 23-33-10. Number 1 star of the goal with the overtime winner and an assist. Nathan MacKinnon, number 2 star of the game with the goal and 2 assists. Mikko Rantanen, number 3 star of the game with the goal and assist. Tyson Barrie. Ducks over the Coyotes 3-1. A brutal loss for Arizona as they dropped the 32-29-5. Ducks improved the 26-32-9. Number 1 star of the game with the goal and assist. Jacob Silfverberg, number 2 star of the game with a goal. Lawson Krause, number 3 star of the game with the goal. Adam Henrique. Canadians over the Kings 3-1. A huge win for Montreal. They're occupying one of the wild card spots in the East right now. 36-24-7 on the year. LA 24-34-8. Number 1 star of the game with a goal and assist. Shea Weber. Number 2 star of the game with 26 saves on 27 shots. Carey Price. Number 3 star of the game with 2 assists. Victor Meat. Tonight's slate is small. Only 4 games. 2 nationally televised games. 7:30, the Capitals at the Flyers. Capitals, with the win here, would put themselves in first place in the Metropolitan Division. I think they'll get it done on the road in Philly tonight. And Philly's without Carter Hart, and I think Philly is just about finished. 9 o'clock, the Maple Leafs at the Canucks. 10 o'clock, NBCSN, the Blues at the Ducks. The Blues are a team that are fighting for their playoff lives. I think they'll get the win. Anaheim's on the second of a back-to-back, and I don't trust the Ducks at all. So give me the Blues on the road to get that victory. And then at 10:30, you have the Flames of the Golden Knights in the Pacific Division Showdown. I want to go over the standings real quick in the NHL because I was discussing this a lot yesterday on the podcast and a little bit today. Right now, obviously, Tampa's way up ahead in the President's Trophy and Atlantic Division races with 106 points. Boston has 89. They're in second. Toronto has 86. They're in third. So, to me, it's a matter of who gets home ice in that first round bloodbath of a series. Metro, Islanders, and Caps each have 83 points. Carolina is in third right now at 79. Pittsburgh has the first wild card. They have 79 points as well, but Carolina has more regulation overtime victories, and both of these teams have played the same number of games. Montreal has played one more game than Pittsburgh. They occupy the second wild card right now. They have 79 points. So, these Metro teams are no locks to make the playoffs whatsoever. The only locks to me are Tampa Bay, Boston, and Toronto. Because Columbus has 77 points, and they're only 6 back of the Islanders and the Caps. And they're 2 back of Pittsburgh and Carolina. They're a couple big wins away from stealing somebody's playoff spot. Whether it's one of their division rivals or Montreal, I think the playoffs, it comes down to 6 teams for 5 spots. I think Philly's done unless they win the night. So, I think Philly tonight, they're on life support. So, I think Washington wins tonight to pretty much end Philly's chances of making the playoffs. But like I said, if Philly wins tonight, then it becomes a 7-horse race again. Now I'm going to go over to the Western Conference. Central Division, Nashville has a 1-point lead over Winnipeg. Winnipeg has 3 games in hand over Nashville, so there's a chance Winnipeg takes that division. So that division is far from over. St. Louis is in third with 74 points. Dallas is 1 point back of them, currently occupying the first wildcard spot with 73 points. Minnesota has 72. So that 3 spot in the Central Division is wide open. Pacific Division, Calgary is a 3-point lead over San Jose. And Calgary right now is the favorite for home ice in the Western Conference playoffs. San Jose is 86, Calgary 89. Vegas has 77. So they're pretty much locked in to that 3 seed in the Pacific Division. Wild card, I discussed it a second ago. Dallas has 73. Minnesota 72. Colorado's 2 back of Minnesota. Arizona is 3 back. And then I think everybody else is out of it. Chicago, Edmonton, Vancouver. Those teams had their chances, but no. It was nice that Chicago made a little push, but they should have been sellers at the deadline. Vancouver should have been a seller. But Arizona's still alive. Colorado's still alive. So you have 5 teams fighting for 3 spots, in my opinion, because I think the St. Louis spot can still be had. Arizona's 5 points back of the Blues, but they're in on the other division, so they would have to be a wild card, and St. Louis would have to drop them if Dallas, Minnesota, one of those teams go there. So that's what I meant by 5 teams for 3 spots in the West. Now I'm going to move on to spring training, where there's some interesting things going on. I talked about the Luis Severino injury yesterday and how big of a blow it could be for the Yankees depending on how long he's out for. And speaking of the Yankees, they defeat the Braves yesterday 5-1 in the game where Severino was supposed to start. They pretty much went by committee and did an opener strategy. Aaron Judge hit a 3-run homer. Kyle Wright started for Atlanta. He was tremendous, 3 innings, 2 hits, and 3 strikeouts. Red Sox over the Nationals 8-4. Boston's had a pretty good start to spring training so far. Max Scherzer did not. He was charged with the loss. 3 1/3 innings for his 5 earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Hector Velasquez 2 2/3 innings for its an earned run and 3 strikeouts. Marlins over the Mets 3-1. Among notable things, Jason Vargas, not terrible. 2 1/3 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Sandy Alcantara had a better start. 3 2/3 innings, a hit, no earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. He just has to tone it down with the walks a little bit. Pirates over the Orioles 10-4. Stephen Brault got the win. Michael Givens the loss. Chris Archer started 2 innings. No hits, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk, so not bad for him. Alex Cobb started for Baltimore. 3 innings, 2 hits, an earned run, a walk, and a strikeout. Phillies over the Cardinals 2-1. Bryce Harper hit a home run in a simulated game the other day, but not in a spring game. We'll see when he gets started with spring training action. Jack Flaherty pitched very well. 4 innings, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. Aaron Nola pitched for Philly. 3 innings, a hit, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Twins over the Rays 9-2. Jake Odorizzi got the win against his former team in a spring game. Jake Cave homered. Yandy Diaz homered. Jason Castro homered. Odorizzi 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Blue Jays over the Tigers 5-2. Ryan Brokey gets the win. Matt Moore with the loss. Yodel Gurriel Jr. homered. Justin Smoak homered. Brokey 3 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Matt Moore 3 innings, 3 hits, 3 home runs, 3 walks, and no strikeouts. Indians over the White Sox 11-0. Adam Plutko gets the win. Brian Flores the loss. Leonis Martin homered. Carlos Santana homered. Adam Plutko 3 2/3 innings, a hit, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Dylan Cease an inning, 2 hits, no walks, no strikeouts, no earned runs. Athletics over the Rangers 4-1. Daniel Megden gets the win. Alex Dorado with the loss. Dustin Fowler homers for Oakland. Jesus Luzardo starts 2 2/3 innings, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Drew Smyly started for Texas 2 innings, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Padres over the White Sox 7-4. White Sox had a split squad. Lucas Giolito pitched for Chicago. 2 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Eloy Jimenez homered in the game for the White Sox. Angels over the Cubs 9-2. Mike Trout crushed a home run. Tyler Skaggs gets the win. 3 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Kyle Hendricks, 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Brewers over the Rockies 1-0. The lone run came on an RBI double by Tyler Saladino. Corbin Burns pitched for Milwaukee, 3 innings, 3 hits, an earned run. No earned runs, a walk, or no walks either, from 4 strikeouts. I misread that. Chad Bennett started for Colorado, 2 2/3 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Padres and Mariners tied at 7. Among notable things here, Manuel Margot homered, Francisco Mejia homered in this game. Mike Leake started for Seattle, 3 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Cal Quantrill, 3 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Royals over the Diamondbacks 5-3. Jorge Lopez gets the win in this game for the Royals. 3 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, no walks, and no strikeouts. And nothing really notable other than an RBI double by Jake Lamb for Arizona. Jorge Soler hit an RBI single for the Royals too. Chris Elwings, the former Diamondback, hit an RBI double in the game too. Now I'm going to do what all of you guys have been waiting for. NFL offseason predictions. I'm going to start with free agency. These players are ranked by Pro Football Focus, I believe. Let me just double check. No, I'm sorry. It's NFL trade rumors. I went off of their list. And these are my predictions for free agency. Trey Flowers. The Indianapolis Colts, they have the money, and I think they'll overpay for who is perhaps the best pass rusher on the market now that Jadeveon Clowney and DeMarcus Lawrence have been franchise tagged. Le'Veon Bell. Again, the Indianapolis Colts, they are a team that wants to win right now. Andrew Luck's in his prime, and he's an obvious upgrade over Marlon Mack, and I think Le'Veon Bell is looking for A, the most money, and B, the best chance to win. Indianapolis provides both of them, so I think Le'Veon Bell, along with Trey Flowers, goes to Indianapolis. Earl Thomas, the Green Bay Packers. This feels like a very Packers move to me. A lot of people are speculating Dallas, and rightfully so, because they've been openly recruiting Thomas, and Thomas has openly spoke about playing for the Cowboys, but this feels like a very Packers move, and I know they want to win right now while Aaron Rodgers is still among the best quarterbacks in the game. Landon Collins. I was initially going to say the Kansas City Chiefs, but I saw a certain team cut a certain safety, which created an opening, and that happened as soon as Landon Collins was not franchised by the Giants, and that was the Baltimore Ravens letting go of Eric Weddle, which makes me believe that the Baltimore Ravens will sign Landon Collins, who's a better player than Eric Weddle. And the Ravens are a team that extended John Harbaugh, have a new quarterback in Lamar Jackson that they like. I don't know if he'll succeed long term, but I think the Ravens are a team that wants to take advantage of whatever window it has. Nick Foles. The Jacksonville Jaguars, this was my prediction before that report came out and said that he was expected to sign with the Jaguars. So I'm going to stick with that prediction, even though, yeah, part of it's inside information, but at the same time, this would have been my prediction before that report came out. And this makes the most sense. Tom Coughlin, to me, is a guy that I think is trying to rush it with his current group of players, and I think that he's going to go out there and make his front office sign Nick Foles. And he wants to stick it to the Giants a little bit. Preston Smith. I think he signs with the New York Jets. They're a team that does a 3-4 defense, and he fits into what they want to do, and they have a lot of cap space. Tyrann Mathieu, New York Giants. They don't franchise Landon Collins. He is not a fit to what they want to do. And obviously, Mathieu has the tie to the Giants' defensive coordinator because from their days with the Cardinals, so this would make a lot of sense. Sheldon Richardson, the New England Patriots. This makes a ton of sense to me, and Richardson is a total guy that I could see going to New England and revitalizing his career. Trent Brown, Buffalo Bills. The Bills are a team that needs desperate help on the offensive line to help protect Josh Allen. I think he's this year's Nate Solder and gets overpaid by a bad team. Ndamukong Suh, the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings lose Sheldon Richardson. I think they'll pick up another veteran in Suh, who helped the Rams get to the Super Bowl this past year. Ezekiel Ansah, the Cleveland Browns. They're a team that is obviously on the rise. They have a lot of cap space, and I think that's the team that brings in Ansah. So Darius Smith, the San Francisco 49ers, they need help on their pass rush. I think that's a good fit. Ronald Darby, Washington Redskins. The Redskins, to me, are a team that always signs players from within their own division. So, to me, this just makes a lot of sense. Josh Norman has not panned out to what they thought he was going to be, and I could see them taking a chance on a younger player like Ronald Darby. Juwan James, Cleveland Browns. They need help on the offensive line, and this would make a ton of sense to me. Darrell Williams, Denver Broncos. They're a team that also needs help on the offensive line, and I could see them overpaying for Williams. Golden Tate, New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees needs a number 2 guy behind Michael Thomas, and Tate's better than what they had at the number 2-3 spot last year, and that just would make a lot of sense. C.J. Mosley, the Houston Texans. They're a team that has a lot of cap room, and I can see them trying to make a splash on the defensive side of the ball with a young player like Mosley. Adrian Amos, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have a need at safety, and I can see them overpaying for a young guy in Amos. Clinton Dix, the Tennessee Titans. They're a team that needs some help in the secondary with some aging guys, so I could see them signing him. Matt Paredes, the New York Jets. They're a team, obviously, with a ton of cap space, and they have a need at the center position. Roger Safford, the New York Giants, a team that needs to rebuild an entire side of the offensive line, and I think Safford would be a nice fit as the other guard spot opposite of Will Hernandez. LaMarcus Joyner, the Chicago Bears. They will probably lose Adrian Amos in free agency, and I could see them overpaying for Joyner. Bryce Callahan, the Philadelphia Eagles. I could just see the Eagles paying somebody like Callahan. They're going to lose Ronald Darby anyway. Teddy Bridgewater, the Washington Redskins. This just makes a lot of sense because Alex Smith, we don't know if he'll be back, and we're not sure if they're going to draft a quarterback or not. And I could see them, in theory, drafting a quarterback that can sit behind a veteran for a year. So this is why Bridgewater in D.C. makes sense. Mark Ingram, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need an upgrade at running back, and I think Ingram would help. Jason McCourty, the New York Jets. This feels like a very Jetsy move to them, overpaying a guy that's on the wrong side of 30. Shaq Barrett, the Oakland Raiders. They're a team that is looking for young talent on the defensive end to try to help them replace Khalil Mack. Kareem Jackson, Indianapolis Colts. I feel like they always sign former Texans. So, there you go. Mitch Morse, the Miami Dolphins. They're a team that needs some help on the offensive line. And Morse is young, so I can see him taking a chance. Dante Fowler Jr., the New England Patriots. The Pats are a team that always takes chance on young players that don't pan out, and this feels like a very Patriots move to me. Tyrell Williams, Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to lose Golden Tate, so this would be a nice replacement. Anthony Barr. I think he goes back to Minnesota. This is the first prediction on this list that I think a player will re-sign with their former team. And Barr's a very good player. And Minnesota is a team that likes to keep their guys together. Ramon Foster, the Carolina Panthers. They're a team that needs some help on the offensive line. Yes, Foster's old, but Cam Newton needs some protection, and Foster's a good player. Adam Humphries, the New York Jets. They need some wide receivers. Sam Darnold needs some help. I think that they'll be in play for Antonio Brown, even though Ian Rappaport is saying that they're out on Antonio Brown. But I could see them taking chances on guys that have thrived somewhat elsewhere. And Humphries has been solid with the Bucs, and I could see the Jets taking a chance there. Tevin Coleman, the Houston Texans. I think that Coleman with Lamar Miller would be a nice pairing in Houston after Houston misses out on Le'Veon Bell. Jared Cook, the Carolina Panthers. You'll see why for this prediction coming up on the bold predictions for every team part of the podcast. Steven Nelson. I think Nelson re-signs with the Chiefs. He's still a young guy, and I think Kansas City is going to be desperate for defensive help, and I wonder if they think that Nelson can continue to grow as a player. Jordan Hicks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need some linebacking help, and I think Hicks would be a good fit there. Pierre Desir, Houston Texans. They just cut Kevin Johnson, so I think that Desir would be a nice fit in Houston. Henry Anderson, New York Giants. They have a 3-4 defense, and I think that this would be a fine fit. I don't think they're going to overpay for guys. I think they learned their lesson a little bit last year with Nate Solder, so I think this is a guy that I could see them signing on the cheap. Cole Beasley, Washington Redskins. Obviously, the Redskins have a lot of needs, and they also need help at wide receiver. Jamison Crowder's a free agent, so I could see them taking a chance on the soon-to-be ex-Cowboy. Deion Jordan, Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have a lot of issues, and they have a 4-3 defense. Jordan hasn't panned out to what people thought he was going to be once he entered the league. So I think getting a chance with Steve Spagnuolo in that defense, I think that could help him a little bit. Darqueze Dennard, Buffalo Bills. They need some help in the secondary, and I could see them overpaying for Dennard. Jamison Crowder, Los Angeles Chargers. They lose Tyrell Williams. I can see them picking up Crowder and taking a chance on him. KJ Wright, back to Seattle. I think that he's just a great fit with Pete Carroll and that team. Kwan Alexander, Washington Redskins. I think that the Bucs signed Jordan Hicks and replaced Alexander, and I could see Washington taking a chance on a young guy in Alexander. Bradley Roby, I think, goes back to Denver. They have the cap room to bring him back, and he's a pretty solid corner. Tim Jernigan, Oakland Raiders. They need all the talent they can get on the defensive side of the ball, and I don't think Philly wants to bring him back. Brent Urban, New York Jets. Again, a 3-4 guy that would fit into what they want to do there. And Tyler Eifert, Oakland Raiders. I think Jared Cook is out, and I could see Maycock and Gruden overpaying for somebody like Eifert to help out in that offense. Now, bold predictions for every team. Going alphabetical order by city. First up, the Arizona Cardinals. They do not draft Kyler Murray. That has been the hottest rumor of the offseason so far. I'm not buying it. This is very reminiscent of when everybody thought that Philadelphia was going to draft Marcus Mariota because of Chip Kelly. So, no. I think they want to go defense, and I think that they like Josh Rosen. Even though the GM came out and said that Rosen's their quarterback right now. The Atlanta Falcons do not extend Jordy Garrett. Garrett's just given the franchise tag, and I think that they won't extend him. The Baltimore Ravens signed Landon Collins to replace Eric Weddle. I already said this, and I think it will happen. The Buffalo Bills will sign Trent Brown. I think they'll overpay for him, just like the Giants did with Nate Solder a year ago. The Carolina Panthers lose Greg Olsen as Olsen retires and goes to Monday Night Football to replace Jason Witten. So, this has been a hot rumor, and I think it'll come into fruition because at this time last year, it was a hot rumor that Jason Witten was going to leave for broadcasting. So, I think that Olsen will be this year's Jason Witten. The Chicago Bears lose both Bryce Callahan and Adrian Amos in free agency. You saw that I called for Amos to Tampa and Callahan to Philadelphia. The Cincinnati Bengals, despite trade rumors, will keep John Ross. John Ross is a speedster. He's not lived up to expectations, but I think they'll keep him around. The Cleveland Browns will sign Jawan James to improve their offensive line. I said that already. The Dallas Cowboys, I did not pick them to sign a free agent because I think they're saving their pennies because I think they're going to extend Dak Prescott. The Cowboys, I think, like Prescott a lot, and I think they want to extend him. The Denver Broncos signed Darrell Williams to upgrade the offensive line. We talked about that already. The Detroit Lions will lose Ziggy Ansah in free agency. I think they are prepped for this. I think there's a great chance they draft his replacement in the top 10 of the draft as well. The Green Bay Packers will sign Earl Thomas. I said this in the free agency predictions, and I'm going to stick to it. The Houston Texans extend Jadeveon Clowney. The Texans, I think, will be active. They're going to try to upgrade their offensive line, whether that's in free agency or the draft, and I think they want to extend their franchise pass rusher in Jadeveon Clowney. The Indianapolis Colts signed Le'Veon Bell and Trey Flowers. The two best free agents on the market, according to NFL trade rumors, will both sign in Indy, and Indy will come into the 2019 NFL season as the team to beat in the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars signed Nick Foles. I think this is the easiest prediction on the board. I said that Philly.com reported this a few days ago, and this would have been my prediction regardless of what Philly.com reported. Kansas City Chiefs signed Eric Weddle. As Baltimore cuts him, I think he'll go to Kansas City as KC likes to revamp their defense. The Los Angeles Chargers draft a pass rusher in the first round. I think that a lot of people will speculate that they'll draft an offensive lineman to help prolong Phillip Rivers' career. A wide receiver could be in play if they don't sign one to replace Tyrell Williams if he walks. I have them signing Jamison Crowder, and I think they will draft a pass rusher in round one. Maybe one of the Clemson guys falls to them. Maybe Jerry Tillery, but we'll see. The Los Angeles Rams trade for Olivier Vernon. They are making some revamptions to their defense, letting some guys go. in free agency, but I could see them trading for an overpriced player that the Giants are trying to get rid of. The Miami Dolphins draft Kyler Murray. I know a lot of people are speculating that they like the 2020 draft class of quarterbacks better, but I think they're dying to get rid of Ryan Tannehill, and they want some exciting things with their fan base. The Minnesota Vikings signed Ndamukong Suh. I said this in the previous segment, and I stand by that prediction. The New England Patriots draft a quarterback on the second day of the draft. Whether it's the second or third round, I think they'll find a successor for Tom Brady after trading away Jimmy Garoppolo for a second a few years ago. The New Orleans Saints will sign Golden Tate. I think that this is a great fit for that team, and he'll help Drew Brees in that offense. The New York Giants trade up and draft Dwayne Haskins. I really love the fit of Haskins in New York with Odell Beckham Jr. and Saquon Barkley. That would be a great threesome to build around, and that'll be an exciting team to watch next year if they do draft Haskins. The New York Jets trade for Leonard Fournette. I think the Jaguars don't want to be in that situation the Steelers were in with Le'Veon Bell. So perhaps my boldest prediction of the offseason is that Jacksonville trades Leonard Fournette, and I think that the Jets obviously missed out on Le'Veon Bell, and I can see them overpaying for Fournette via trade. The Oakland Raiders trade for Antonio Brown. This is a very John Gruden move to me. And to me, it's either Oakland or San Francisco, but I decided to go with Oakland because I think San Francisco is too popular of a pick for this. And I think San Francisco wants to build their defense and needs to focus on their defense. And I really think that the Raiders are the team that trades for Antonio Brown to excite their fan base just a little bit. The Philadelphia Eagles signed Tyrell Williams. I said this in the previous segment, and I think that he'd help Carson Wentz in that offense. The Pittsburgh Steelers drafted a wide receiver in the first round. I've had a defensive player there mocked there the last few times, but I really do think they'll draft a receiver after they inevitably trade Antonio Brown. The San Francisco 49ers trade out of the number 2 pick. I think the team that trades up there is the Giants for Haskins. Regardless, I think Arizona keeps the pick and takes Nick Bosa. And I think after Arizona, after heavy speculation of people saying, oh, it's Kyler Murray, they take the best player in the draft, Nick Bosa. The Giants call San Francisco and say, we'll trade up for Haskins, and we'll give you our next year's first, this year's first, and a third and a future third or whatever, and maybe one more asset to trade up. And then the Giants go up and take Haskins, and San Francisco gets a boatload back as they rebuild around Jimmy Garoppolo. The Seattle Seahawks extend Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is somebody that's entering a contract year next year. I think he'll have a great season, but I think Seattle wants to avoid distractions and keep their franchise quarterback locked up. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Mark Ingram. This is a good fit, and I think he'll help Bruce Arians in that offense. The Tennessee Titans signed Clinton Dix. I mentioned that in the previous part of the podcast when I did the free agency predictions. I just think this signing would make a lot of sense. And last but not least, the Washington Redskins draft Drew Lock in the first round. I think that they do draft a quarterback, despite speculation that they won't. I could see them signing Bridgewater and drafting Drew Lock, and then Lock learns for a year under Bridgewater, and that's how Washington will roll this season. Last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. This is a pretty big bet. I have here, wagering $2.50 plus 1,176 odds with a payout of $31.92. St. Francis, Pennsylvania, Northern Kentucky, Dayton, Sam Houston State, Houston Baptist, NC State, Washington Wizards, Detroit Pistons, Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Maple Leafs, and St. Louis Blues. I was going to put the Denver Nuggets in there too, but you never know. That could be a trap game. So I avoided the Nuggets, and I went with those teams with the possible payout of $31.92. Moneyline pick. This is tough because there's obviously a lot of good candidates. I was thinking Lakers, but I just think that that team is screwed and they stink. And who knows, maybe they're going to sit LeBron down the stretch because they think they know that they're not going to make the playoffs and they just have to accept that this has been a dismal season. Probably the most disappointing Lakers season since the year that they had Dwight Howard on that team. NBA moneyline pick. Underdog moneyline, I should say. Let's go with the Hawks. I've been rolling with that team. I'm going to wager $5 to have a payout of $15, and the Hawks are plus 200. So we'll go with the Atlanta Hawks over the Spurs. And then in college basketball, this is tough too. Washington State's a good candidate. They're plus 235 at home against Oregon. And that's what I'm going to go with, actually. I'm going to wager $5 to have a payout of $16.75. That's it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping college basketball, NBA, NHL, spring training games. Look ahead to everything tomorrow. We'll do more conference tournament prediction podcasts tomorrow and tonight as well. And maybe I'll have one more activity in store for you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.